Part 4. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 31. Wang Feng gradually approached the convoy. When his figure appeared in the sight of everyone in the convoy, they were all surprised. They did not expect that there was only one person who ambushed them, and he was so young. The injured strong man stood up first, staring at Wang Feng with a pair of violent eyes. At this moment, there was a roar of a car behind Wang Feng, and it was Lu Wanting and the others who caught up. Wang Feng stopped when he was about 10 meters away from the convoy. Lu Wanting's car parked behind Wang Feng, and then more than a dozen people got out of the car. They all looked for cover, and then pointed their guns at the convoy. People on one side. Ha 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 ha. Who do I think is so brave? It turns out to be a little girl like you. What? You dare to make trouble when you find a helper? How dare you hurt your grandpa Black Wolf? Boy! I will make you regret why you were born. Come down. After seeing that his enemy was Lu Wanting, the injured strong man suddenly became bolder and stepped forward alone, because he knew that Lu Wanting and the others did not dare to attack him unless they wanted to catch up with the more than 100 people in their camp. Alive. Hearing the strong man's words, Wang Feng knew that his guess was not wrong. This guy was indeed the Black Wolf, but Wang Feng still stood there calmly. In order to save Xiao Wu just now, Wang Feng activated his superpower blast, which consumed most of his physical strength. At this moment, he could not activate the blast again. If he did not activate the blast and took action directly, although Wang Feng was sure to kill the people in front of him, but Xiao Wu's safety cannot be guaranteed. If the opponent outside sees no match and jumps over the wall in a hurry, Wang Feng only needs a little time now. Throw away all the guns for me. Otherwise, I'll let someone kill him now. He Lang pointed at Xiao Wu and shouted arrogantly. Xiao Wu? He Lang, you. Lu Wanting glared at He Lang and said. Only now did she find Xiao Wu in a miserable situation. Xiao Wu was still awake at this time, his face was full of sweat and tears, but he gritted his teeth and looked at Lu Wanting without saying a word, with a look of despair in his eyes. What's wrong with me? I'm going to save you guys. How can I work without food? Besides, isn't he still alive? Stop talking nonsense, let all your people come out and throw the guns to the ground, otherwise this kid you really have to die. He Lang glared and ordered. Lu Wanting looked at Wang Feng, who nodded slightly, and then threw the sniper rifle on his shoulder in front of her. Lu Wanting also waved her hand, and people from the Green Island camp came behind them and threw the weapons in their hands. On the ground. Ha 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 ha. That's right. It seems like you are the only ones left in your camp. Hey. What a pity for those little girls, I haven't tasted it yet. He Lang shook his head with regret. But it doesn't matter. There are still a few girls left, so I can try something new. He Lang looked at several women in the team, and finally his eyes rested on Lu Wanting. He licked his lips and said with a lewd smile, I fell in love with you before, but you were still not happy about it. You rejected Master Lang several times. Now that your camp is gone, what else can you use to bargain with Mr. Wolf? First kill that bastard who hurt me, and then come and accompany Mr. Wolf obediently. Let Mr. Wolf feel comfortable, and Mr. Wolf will take you in. Otherwise, Mr. Wolf will ask you to give him ears together. Burial. You, and you. Come to the front and take off your clothes for Master Lang to admire. Take them all off. He Lang pointed at several women in the team, including Lu Wanting, and then continued pointing at Wang Feng, go and kill the rest of this kid. He Lang issued the order bossily. No one in the team moved, because Wang Feng didn't move, and Lu Wanting didn't issue an order. Seeing that his words didn't get any response, He Lang became furious. With a wave of his hand, all his people rushed up and used their guns. Pointing at Wang Feng and others. Lu Wanting unconsciously leaned towards Wang Feng and quietly held his hand. Unexpectedly, He Lang had been paying attention to her, and when he saw the situation, he became furious. Damn it! Catch that boy, how dare you touch my woman? Today, Mr. Wolf is going to have fun with her in front of you, and then cut off your flesh and roast it in front of her. Eat, boy, I want you to know what life is worse than death. After a period of recovery, Wang Feng felt that most of his physical strength had recovered, which was enough to activate a blast. Gently pinching Lu Wanting's hand to reassure her, Wang Feng took 2 steps forward. Hey Lang. Can you count? The furious black wolf was stunned. What? Wang Feng looked at He Lang with a smile, but there was endless murderous intent in his eyes. You count from 1 to 10 as fast as you can. If you are still intact after the defeat, I will let you go today. He Lang's expression changed, and he suddenly felt a sense of fear when he looked at Wang Feng's eyes, so he immediately took a step back and shouted, Go! Kill him! As soon as He Lang said the word up, Wang Feng, who was standing in front of him, suddenly and mysteriously disappeared. Then, a shrill scream came from behind him. He Lang recognized that it was the man who was with him. The guy who eats barbecue. He was about to turn around when Wang Feng suddenly appeared in front of him again, with a sneer on his lips. It seems you don't know much about mathematics. Are you an evolver? He Lang pointed at Wang Feng, took 2 steps back, his legs gave way and he sat down on the ground. The arrogant expression before had long since disappeared, replaced by a look of horror and disbelief. Do you still know about evolvers? Wang Feng was a little surprised. I know. He Lang quickly crawled on the ground twice and crawled in front of Wang Feng. It turns out that you are an evolver. I have offended many villains. From now on, I will stay with you. I will let you do whatever I do. Wang Feng turned around and found that Lu Wanting and others were looking at him dumbfounded. He Lang didn't look back, so he didn't see it, but these people clearly saw what happened just now. Just now He Lang shouted, Go! Wang Feng moved. They only saw Wang Feng turning around in the crowd brought by He Lang like the wind. When the scream sounded, Wang Feng the figure has returned to the black wolf. The people behind He Lang all maintained their original postures at this moment without any movement, except for the strong man lying on the ground rolling and screaming, because this strong man's limbs had been cut from the knees and elbows by Wang Feng. All parts are cut off. When the black wolf fell to the ground, those who were still seemed to have been affected by the black wolf. They collapsed on the ground one after another, and blood arrows spurted out from their necks. It turned out that Wang Feng had disappeared just before Wang Feng. In that short moment, he had actually cut off the throats of all these people, except for the strong man whose limbs were cut off. Help! Wang Feng was speechless as he watched them in a daze. Xiao Wu was still tied there. Lu Wanting and the others woke up from a dream and quickly ran over to rescue Xiao Wu. You just said you would do whatever I asked you to do, Wang Feng looked at He Lang and asked. Yes. From now on, the villain will be the uncle's dog. Whatever the uncle tells the villain to do, the villain will do it, He Lang responded quickly when he saw Wang Feng asking what he was asking. Wang Feng stared at the black wolf, his face as cold as ice. It's a pity that even if I raise a dog, I will only raise a dog that does not eat human flesh. He Lang's expression changed greatly. He was about to get up and run for his life when he suddenly felt a chill in the joints of his limbs. In the blink of an eye, all of his limbs were cut off by Wang Feng like he did to the strong man. The black wolf fell heavily to the ground. He looked down at his limbs, with a look of despair in his eyes, and howled to the sky. Wang Feng ignored him and turned around to walk to Xiao Wu, who was surrounded by people. Most of the flesh on Xiao Wu's limbs had been cut off, exposing the white bones inside. All the flesh on his left leg above the knee was even cut off. After cutting it off, only the leg bones were left. Due to excessive blood loss, his face was pale and breathless. Apocalypse. Can you heal him? Wang Feng asked silently in his heart. No. Apocalypse's functions only take effect on apocalypse hunters. Is there any other way to save him? No. What if there is evolutionary fluid? No. He has lost a lot of flesh and blood, and it cannot be repaired even if he evolves. I wasn't similar to him back then, so why can I? Because you are an apocalypse hunter, I can join you during the evolution process. Tiankai's answer completely made Wang Feng give up his thoughts. He turned around and picked up the black wolf lying on the ground howling miserably. He carried him to Xiao Wu and put him heavily on the ground. The black wolf's broken leg was covered with it hit the ground directly, and the pain was so painful that he fainted before he could even scream. Xiao Wu. What are you going to do with this guy? Wang Feng looked down at Xiao Wu and asked. Camp. Xiao Wu struggled to ask. Our camp is fine. Lu Wanting squatted next to Xiao Wu, stroked his head and said, thank you and Xiao Wen for finding this guy. He saved our camp, and also let Xiao Wen become a strengthener. Really, Xiao Wu's eyes lit up. It's true. Didn't you see it just now? He is an evolver and is quite powerful. Lu Wanting's eyes were filled with tears. That's good, Xiao Wu breathed a sigh of relief. Xiao Wu. I'm sorry. I found it too late. Wang Feng knelt down, so, all we can do is help you get revenge. Lu Wanting was shocked when she heard Wang Feng's words, and looked at Wang Feng with tear-filled eyes. Wang Feng felt her gaze, raised his head and looked at her, and finally closed his eyes and slowly shook his head. If there was a complete medical system before the end of the world, maybe Xiao Wu could survive, but now, not even Apocalypse can do anything about it. Xiao Wu is hopeless. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 32. Captain. Where is my brother? Xiao Wu asked weakly. I'll have someone bring him here right away, Lu Wanting said. Before she could say anything else, Chen Tianhao had already turned and ran towards the car. Don't let him see me. See what I look like now. Tell him, I'm missing. Never, let him know, I'm dead. Xiao Wu burst into tears. Chen Tianhao, who was running, was shocked and stopped. Then, the 7-foot-tall man squatted on the ground with his head in his arms, crying silently. No. You can't die. We'll take you back. You'll get better, Lu Wanting cried, and then she turned and threw herself into Wang Feng's arms. Madman. Save him, save him. Wang Feng held the unconscious black wolf in one hand, and gently patted Lu Wanting's back with the other hand, looking down at Xiao Wu. Little brother. Do you have any unfulfilled wishes? I want to see my mother. Xiao Wu looked at the distant sky, his eyes became illusory. I miss her so much. Looking at Xiao Wu's expression, Wang Feng became more and more angry. He gently pushed Lu Wanting away from his arms, and then his figure flashed and came to the side of another strong man who was already half dead, stretched out his hand to lift him up, and just like holding two chickens, he lifted them in front of Xiao Wu and asked. Little brother. How are you going to let them die? Then he put the two men on the ground again, and the severe pain made them howl like pigs being slaughtered. Xiao Wu looked at the two people with only half of their limbs left, and suddenly laughed. Look, at that time, I said, someone would avenge me, haha. It's coming, soon, right? You haven't finished eating me, your retribution is coming. Then Xiao Wu looked at Wang Feng and said, this, big brother. Thank you. Hearing this familiar address, Wang Feng suddenly felt sour in his heart. He had not been in contact with Xiao Wu for a long time, and it was less than half an hour in total. However, this boy who made him feel very weak and cried at every turn, his current performance made Wang Feng look at him with new eyes. He also had a similar experience with Xiao Wu, but it was not a human but a cat who ate his meat, so he could better understand the physical and mental double torture that Xiao Wu experienced. He didn't understand how this boy who was a few years younger than him could grit his teeth and not say a word. Such a tenacious will could actually appear in a teenager. Unfortunately, because of the two scumbags in his hands, this boy is about to leave this world. Zhao Taihan came to Wang Feng. This rough man also had red eyes at this moment. He looked at Wang Feng and whispered, "Xiao Wu, really?" Wang Feng shook his head speechlessly. Zhao Taihan suddenly snatched the two scumbags from his hands, turned to Xiao Wu and said, "Xiao Wu, your brother Zhao is useless. Can't save you. I'll use these two scumbags to send you off." Tianhao. Chen Tianhao strode over with tears on his face. He drew out his dagger, looked at He Lang, and then looked at another strong man. Just as he raised the dagger, Xiao Wu suddenly spoke. "Brother Chen. Wait." Chen Tianhao put down the dagger and turned to look at Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu smiled, and then looked at Wang Feng, "This big brother. I saw everything you did just now. I don't know when you cut off the limbs of this He Lang. Thank you for revenge for me. Can I ask you for one thing?" "You say," Wang Feng nodded. "Put me and these two people in a place where there is no one. I want to see who dies first." Everyone was stunned when they heard Xiao Wu's words. Just looking at Xiao Wu's miserable condition, they could imagine how much pain he was going through. If anyone knew that he could not survive, they would try to end their pain as soon as possible. But now Xiao Wu actually made such a request. Everyone looked at each other, and finally everyone's eyes were all focused on Wang Feng. "Okay. I promise you," Wang Feng did not confirm with Xiao Wu again. From his eyes, Wang Feng knew that Xiao Wu really wanted to do this, so he did not ask why, because Xiao Wu's time should not be much. Seeing that Wang Feng actually agreed to Xiao Wu's request, everyone in the Green Island camp gathered around. They looked at Xiao Wu quietly, and Xiao Wu's eyes also looked at their faces one by one. He knew that after seeing this time, he would never see him again in the future. Wang Feng walked over, gently picked up Xiao Wu, and then put him in the van driven by He Lang and his partner. Then he took He Lang and his partner from Zhao Taihan, stuffed the two of them in, and then he looked back at Lu Wanting and said, "You clean up here and wait for me here." Lu Wanting nodded, looked at Xiao Wu in the car again, and said softly, "Take care, I don't know who she said this to." Wang Feng got on the van, started the car, then lightly stepped on the accelerator, slowly drove out, and gradually disappeared from everyone's sight. It was not until the van was completely out of sight that Lu Wanting began to give orders. The first one was, after returning, everyone should have the same caliber. I didn't see Xiao Wu this time. He was missing. As for the following series of orders, it was naturally to clean up the scene, pile all the bodies together, and then burn them. Of course, useful things should be taken down first, such as weapons and food, etc., and then all the vehicles of the two camps should be integrated and personnel should be redistributed. After everything was handled, everyone quietly waited there for Wang Feng to return. They didn't wait long. A figure rushed over. It was Wang Feng. He didn't drive the van back, but ran back on foot. After coming to the front of everyone, Wang Feng looked at everyone, and then looked at Lu Wanting. Lu Wanting nodded at him, meaning that he could say whatever he wanted. Black Wolf is dead, along with another enhancer and some of his minions. But there must be other people in his camp, at least one enhancer. I'm going to his camp now to wipe out these man-eating demons. I'll go too, Zhao Taizu and Chen Tianhao said at the same time. Although their team members didn't speak, they took a step forward at the same time to show their attitude. Lu Wanting also walked in front of Wang Feng, holding his hands and whispering, "Feng, let's go together." But the Black Wolf camp is not full of Black Wolf's minions, but more of those poor people who were abused and exploited by him. People, we. Wang Feng smiled slightly, ting ting. Don't worry. I am not a bloodthirsty person. I only kill those who deserve to die. In the Black Wolf camp, I only kill those who have eaten human flesh on their own initiative. All the others are left to you, okay? Yes, after gently agreeing, Lu Wanting shouted, get in the car. Let's go. Including the 3 cars of the Black Wolf camp, a total of 6 cars formed a convoy and set off in a mighty manner. Wang Feng and Lu Wanting sat in the front off-road vehicle. This car was Lu Wanting's car. The exterior had been modified, and some anti-zombie spikes and iron nets were added. It looked very majestic. Ting ting. Were you scared by me just now? Wang Feng asked softly while sitting in the co-pilot seat. That's not the case. They really deserve to die. I only heard about them before, but when I saw Xiao Wu's appearance, I realized that these people were so cruel and insane. I was just worried that you would hurt many innocent people when you arrived at the Black Wolf camp like you did just now. Don't worry. No, in fact, this is only the second time I killed someone, I mean someone who is still alive. The first time, there was only one person. At that time, I was bitten and wanted to find a corner to spend the last part of my life quietly. Wang Feng put down the backrest of the chair, looked at the roof of the car, and slowly recounted his experience from being bitten to becoming an evolver. He even told everything about being caught here by the big bird, and even repeated the process of killing the black cat that he had mentioned before. The only person he deliberately ignored was Apocalypse. After Wang Feng finished speaking, Lu Wanting seemed to have thought of something, turned her head and asked, when will you take me to visit my benefactor? Wang Feng was stunned. Benefactor? Yes. It was the big bird that brought you here, so it can be considered my benefactor. I must go and see it, right? Lu Wanting said seriously. Wang Feng then understood that Lu Wanting wanted to take advantage of the big bird. When Wang Feng mentioned that he had cut off some meat from the big bird and took it away, he once said that the meat of mutant beasts can strengthen the body of ordinary people. Isn't this what the Green Island camp urgently needs now? Okay. If you hadn't said it, I would have forgotten. I will take you there after the matter at the Black Wolf camp is over, and then, I will also go back to find Lazy Eye and the others. After Wang Feng finished speaking, the carriage fell into silence. After a long time, Lu Wanting asked faintly, will you come back? Of course I will come back, and I will also bring Lazy Eye and Taizu and the others here. This will be the foundation for me to stand in the end of the world, and there is also someone I care about very much, Wang Feng said firmly. As soon as Wang Feng's words came out, Lu Wanting's face turned red, but her expression was obviously much more relaxed. For some reason, after only less than a day of contact, Lu Wanting felt that Wang Feng had entered her heart and seemed to have become an indispensable person in her life. Wang Feng also had this feeling, and people living in the end of the world are much more bold in releasing their emotions than before the end of the world. They all know that once they have feelings for someone, it is best to express them as soon as possible, and never delay until tomorrow, because, tomorrow, you don't know if you are still alive. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 33. A camp that was much larger than the Green Island camp appeared in front. Wang Feng activated his eyes and observed it carefully. Although he was in the car and his field of vision was not very good, he could still get a rough idea of it. The predecessor of Black Wolf Camp should be a factory, so it has a very high wall, which makes this survival camp much better than Green Island. And it seems that Black Wolf is a guy who is very greedy for life and afraid of death, huh? Black Wolf had already confirmed this with his actions before. The camp was renovated very well by Black Wolf, with complete defense facilities. Except for the lack of a maze, the camp was much better than the Green Island camp. Wang Feng asked Lu wanting to stop the car first, and then asked, Ting Ting. What do you think of Green Island camp moving here? Lu Wanting looked at Wang Feng and smiled happily, of course it's good. Our small camp is really bad, but we can't find a suitable location, so we stay there. Okay. Since that's the case, then tell the guys behind you to try not to shoot later. Even if you shoot, try not to hurt the building. Everything here belongs to us. Wang Feng nodded and smiled. Yes, Captain, Lu Wanting replied playfully, and then got out of the car to inform the people behind. Unexpectedly, Zhao Taihan saw their car stopped and got out of the car and ran over. Lu Wanting told him directly and asked he conveyed this order to those behind him. Zhao Taihan agreed and ran back. Lu Wanting started the car and continued to move forward. What left Wang Feng speechless was that the sentry standing guard in the sentry tower at the entrance of the camp saw the convoy approaching and directly greeted the people below to open the door. Regarding the enthusiasm expressed by the enemy, Lu Wanting and Wang Feng naturally would not let down each other's good intentions, so they drove straight into the camp. After asking Lu Wanting not to get out of the car for the time being, Wang Feng got out of the car, and the other party realized at this time no. They all took out their weapons and pointed them at Wang Feng and yelled. Who is it? How dare you break into the Black Wolf camp? A small man with triangular eyes asked in a sharp voice. Where are the people in charge here? Wang Feng ignored him, looked around and asked, because he didn't find any strengtheners among these people. First of all, who are you? Why is our boss's car here with you? Triangle Eyes asked sharply, but his voice was too high-pitched, so it sounded like he was screaming. We are here to accept the camp. As for your boss's car? Will your boss give his car to others? Triangle Eyes was stunned, of course not. Yes. So I had no choice but to kill him. Wang Feng shrugged. Ah. You killed our boss. Ha ha ha, Triangle Eyes laughed in disbelief at first, but as soon as he laughed twice, he felt that the other person's expression was not a joke, so he held back his laughter halfway. Go back. You wait, I'll call Brother Dog out. Triangle Eyes rolled his eyes and thought to himself, if what the other party said is true, then naturally he can't afford to offend the person who can kill the boss, so he should strengthen that person first. Let's call out Brother Dog. Don't you always brag about how powerful you are? Now that trouble is coming, it's natural for him to take action. After Triangle Eyes finished speaking, he turned around and ran back regardless of Wang Feng's reaction. Not long after, Triangle Eyes came over with 8 people. The leader was a young man who was only in his 20s. In this apocalyptic world where water was scarce, he had long hair. He had not washed it for an unknown period of time and it was greasy and already tangled. However, he thought he was throwing his hair away coolly. Swinging back and forth, he walked all the way proudly. Boy! What do you do? Why do you come here to us? The young man led the people to Wang Feng and asked in a strange way. Before Wang Feng could answer, he suddenly noticed Lu Wanting sitting in the car. Pisces' eyes suddenly opened wide, and he hurriedly said to the person behind him. Quick! Go and get that little bitch out of the car. I want to have a good time today, Lord Dog. Damn it, I haven't seen such a decent little bitch in a long time. When Wang Feng heard that his mouth was dirty, he was immediately furious. He took a step forward and grabbed the kid's neck, and said coldly, say what you just said again. The long-haired young man was choked. He tried hard to pull Wang Feng's hand, but Wang Feng's hand seemed to be made of iron. Even with all his strength, he still couldn't pull Wang Feng's hand. What a joke! Are you using your mud mouth to sleep in a regular house? The loincloth is old and purple and ruins the soil. The mud is thick and gray. The young man squeezed out a bunch of words from his throat. Wang Feng was confused. He looked at the people who came with the long-haired young man and asked, "What did he just say?" A fat man with a dragon tattooed on his arm said cautiously, "Brother Dog said you'd better let him go immediately, otherwise he will make you regret it." "Oh," Wang Feng nodded, and then threw the young man in his hand away. The young man was caught off guard and fell to the ground. After coughing violently for a while, the young man stood up. "How dare you come here to make trouble? I'm going to kill this guy." Following the young man's order, the people behind him all retreated to the back. "Are you kidding me? You, a strengthener, were picked up like a chicken without any resistance, and you still let us get on you? Looking for death?" After the young man finished shouting, he rushed towards Wang Feng, pulled out the dagger on his trouser leg and shouted, "Boy! Die to me!" Wang Feng dodged and let the dagger pass, then grabbed his right arm and pulled and twisted it, directly dislocating his arm. After completing it, he followed the same procedure with his left arm. The whole process went smoothly without any obstruction. "Ah!" the young man screamed, and then looked at Wang Feng bitterly, "Just wait. Our boss will not let you go, he will definitely make you regret why you were born. If your boss is Black Wolf, then he has already told me this," Wang Feng said lightly, then ignored this somewhat mentally retarded young man and stood in the camp and said loudly, "Everyone in the Black Wolf camp, listen to me. My name is Wang Feng, and I'm from the Green Island camp. Your Black Wolf and those who went out with him tried to rob our camp, but I have killed them all. There is no such person as He Lang anymore in the world." Wang Feng looked around at the doubtful people in the Black Wolf camp, and a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. "From now on, this camp belongs to our Green Island camp. Everyone in the Black Wolf camp, I will give you 1 minute to put down your weapons and come to me. Gather in front of us. If you don't arrive in 1 minute or are still armed, I can send you to see the Black Wolf." "Ha ha ha ha. You idiot. You can't even lie, but you dare to say that my boss was killed by you? My boss has killed all the third-level enhancers, but you? Ha 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 ha. I won't believe it even if you kill me," the long-haired young man laughing crazily and shouting hysterically. Wang Feng glanced at him and said softly, "Really? Then I'll kill you." Then he flashed past the long-haired young man, and the long-haired young man's head rose into the sky. There was a ferocious smile on his face. Before the head of the long-haired young man hit the ground, Wang Feng returned to his position and said lightly, "There are still 56 seconds. Wang Feng's move to kill and establish his authority was immediate. He had 56 seconds left before he finished speaking. All those who could move in the camp, including the sentries, dropped their weapons and ran to gather in front of Wang Feng. They all figured out that the strongest combat force in the camp, the enhancer Brother Dog, had no chance to fight back. No matter how many people they had, they were still serving food. When Lu Wanting saw that Wang Feng had taken care of it, she got out of the car and waved. Zhao Taihan and Chen Tianhao ran forward with the people from the Green Island camp and surrounded everyone from the Black Wolf camp with weapons. "Which one of you is a combatant? Come out and stand on my left. Non-combatants stand on my right. If anyone dares to stand randomly, don't blame me for being rude," Wang Feng said with his hands behind his back. More than 20 people stood to the left of Wang Feng, including the 7 people who just walked out with the long-haired young man, and the triangle eyes were also on the left. "Is there anyone else in the camp? For example, those who were imprisoned by you?" Wang Feng asked, looking at the crowd in front of him. Yes, Triangle Eyes thought that he had the opportunity to show off, and quickly stepped out of the queue, saying over and over again, "There is still some food, no. It's some people locked up in a warehouse at the back. If I were there, here, I'll take you there." Lu Wanting winked at Zhao Taihan, and then she and Zhao Taihan pressed the thin monkey and walked towards the warehouse behind. "Don't be nervous," Wang Feng looked at the ragged, sallow non-combatants on the right, and said, as long as you didn't do too many bad things before and can stick to your duties in the future, then you will definitely be able to live a good life, at least much better than now. After listening to Wang Feng's words, the people on the right did not react much. Wang Feng saw sadness, despair, hatred, and fear in their eyes, but most of them were still numb. Many of them were like marionettes. Even when they gathered in front of Wang Feng, they were pulled by others. Their eyes were dull and they stood there motionless. There was absolutely no sign of life on their bodies. What was happening around them seemed to have nothing to do with them. Wang Feng suddenly felt that the only difference between them and those zombies was that they won't bite. At this time, Zhao Taihan suddenly ran over from behind, holding the unconscious triangle eye in his hand. He didn't know what he saw in the warehouse behind. This rough man was full of anger, with a fierce look in his eyes, and he strode to in front of Wang Feng. He threw the triangle eye on the ground, raised his hand, pointed at the combatants and shouted loudly. "You bastards! Anyone who has eaten human flesh, please stand up for me." Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 34. Wang Feng looked back and saw Lu Wanting running out of the warehouse, then squatting on the ground and vomiting. He hurried over, squatted beside Lu Wanting, and gently patted her back. After seeing that Lu Wanting was better, Wang Feng stood up and walked into the warehouse. As soon as he entered the door, a pungent smell hit him. Wang Feng held his breath and walked in. Is there a heaven? Wang Feng didn't know, but at this moment, he was sure that he had stepped into a purgatory on earth. This warehouse is not big, maybe 30 square meters, and in this small space, there are more than 20 people, both men and women, and even 3 5-6-year-old boys. The ground is full of dark brown blood and human excrement, and countless maggots are happily drilling around in it. The people locked in it, both men and women, are all naked, but they can't arouse people's desire at all. They were all hung on the wall with iron hooks through their shoulders, just like the pork hung in front of their stalls by butchers before the end of the world. Their chests were still rising and falling, proving that they were all still alive, but their expressions were dull. Wang Feng's intrusion did not cause any reaction from them. The only ones who were treated favorably were the 3 little boys. The 3 skinny bodies were chained in a corner of the warehouse, looking at Wang Feng with horror. Seeing their expressions, Wang Feng was relieved instead, at least they still knew how to be afraid. Among the remaining 20 or so people, at least half were disabled people with broken limbs. They either lost their arms or their thighs, and everyone had obvious burn marks on their wounds. Thinking of what Triangle Eyes said before and then changed his words and Xiao Wu's experience, it was not difficult for Wang Feng to imagine where their missing limbs had gone. An uncontrollable anger rushed into Wang Feng's heart, and he turned and rushed out of the warehouse. All of you, get down on your knees. You bunch of bastards, bastards, Zhao Taihan pointed angrily at the 10 people in front of him, all of whom admitted that they had eaten human flesh. After all the 10 people knelt down, Zhao Taihan took off the machete behind him and walked behind these people. These people seemed to have known their fate, and their reactions were different. Some cursed, some begged for mercy, some laughed miserably, some laughed wildly, and some closed their eyes and waited for death. Taihan. Don't do it yet. Wang Feng appeared beside Zhao Taihan and grabbed his wrist. Madman. Do you still want to keep such a person? Zhao Taihan asked angrily. Wang Feng looked at Zhao Taihan and suddenly smiled, but this smile seemed to come from the devil of hell, which made Zhao Taihan feel cold all over, and he was stunned for a while. I know that there are more than just these few people who have eaten human flesh. Now I give you the last chance to hand them over. Otherwise, if I find out later, the people around him will end up like him, Wang Feng said coldly. After hearing Wang Feng's words, there was a commotion in the crowd, and then more than a dozen people were exposed. The people around them retreated to the sides as if avoiding the plague, isolating them in the field. Without Wang Feng's call, Chen Tianhao led people to capture these isolated people and put them together with the previous people. Among them, a few people who wanted to resist were beaten up by Chen Tianhao and others without mercy, and then they calmed down. Everyone, keep an eye on your own side. It's best to make sure there is no one around you, otherwise don't blame me when you die unjustly later, Wang Feng still said with a cold face. After waiting for a while, there was no movement. Wang Feng called back to Chen Tianhao and whispered a few words in his ear. Chen Tianhao looked at Wang Feng in shock, then nodded, turned around and called his team members to walk towards the warehouse. Not long after, Chen Tianhao came back alone. His face was so gloomy that water could almost drip from it. He looked at the cannibal demons kneeling on the ground with murderous intent, and turned to Wang Feng and said, "Madman! Let me kill these bastards." After that, he drew the dagger from his waist and wanted to kill people. "Tianhao! Don't kill them," Wang Feng stopped him. "Why?" Chen Tianhao and Zhao Taihan asked at the same time, and they seemed extremely angry at the moment. "Because I think killing them is a bit too easy for them," Wang Feng said coldly, and then took 2 steps forward. "Who invented the hook on the wall?" "The hook on the wall used to hang people is very special. After penetrating a person's shoulder and hanging up, he can't get down without the help of others. It is obviously specially designed." A few of the kneeling cognitions raised their heads and looked at each other, and finally focused their eyes on the unconscious Triangle Eyes who was thrown on the ground. "Humph. Tianhao, hang this guy on the hook he invented. I guess he hasn't enjoyed his invention yet. If you don't feel relieved, cut off another arm or thigh of his. Remember to burn the wound to death, don't let him die too quickly." Wang Feng snorted coldly and turned to Chen Tianhao. Yes, the anger on Chen Tianhao and Zhao Taihan's faces disappeared instantly. Chen Tianhao quickly agreed loudly, then walked over with a grin and picked up Triangle Eyes. Triangle Eyes quickly opened his eyes, bowed with both hands, and begged for mercy loudly. "Have mercy. Grandpas. Black Wolf forced me to do this, I had no choice. Please let me go, no. Please kill me, don't hang me there, no. Ah!" Triangle Eyes howled in despair as he was carried into the warehouse by Chen Tianhao. Then, Triangle Eyes screamed as if he didn't belong to humans. All the combatants in the Black Wolf camp trembled when they heard the sound, including those who closed their eyes and waited for death before. They might be able to face death, but when they thought that they might get the same treatment as Triangle Eyes, they couldn't help but turn pale and their bodies trembled. Chen Tianhao strode over and threw an arm in his hand in front of these combatants. These people screamed and dodged immediately, as if this arm was some terrible monster. "There are still more than 20 hooks," Chen Tianhao said with a fierce look in his eyes. "Don't worry. They won't be left empty." Wang Feng's words made these terrified guys despair, and some even started to cry. They suddenly envied the long-haired young man who had died, and felt that being able to die so happily might be a kind of happiness. "Shut up. I found that there are too many of you, and the hooks may not be enough, so, if you think someone is more qualified than you to get that position, just tell him what he has done. Maybe you won't have to be hung up when the position is full, and you can die more happily." As soon as Wang Feng finished speaking, these people immediately boiled over, and began to expose the evil deeds of their companions who had fought together. These 3 are the ones who deserve to be hanged. When they went out to look for food a few days ago, they met a father and daughter. They raped the father's 9-year-old daughter in front of him, and then dismembered the little girl who was raped to death, cooked and ate part of it on the spot, and then knocked the father unconscious and brought him back and hung him in the warehouse. He will be hanged too. He loves to torture people. At least half of the 2-legged sheep in the warehouse were hung by him personally. In order to ensure the freshness of the meat, he came up with the idea of cutting off the arms and legs while they are still alive and then burning the wounds to stop the bleeding. He deserves to die the most. He was alone outside and got lost. Then he fainted from hunger and was rescued by a pair of kind sisters, who gave him their limited food. As a result, after he recovered, he tricked the sisters into coming to the camp. Once they arrived at the camp, he and Helang gang raped the two girls, and then used them as sex slaves. Look. Those two stupid sisters over there. You obviously slept with them too, why only talk about me? And him. In this big report where everyone rushed to be the first, one after another of the shocking and cruel past events were revealed. Wang Feng listened quietly, and he suddenly felt a chill on his back. It has only been more than half a year since the end of the world began. Why has the humanity of these people been annihilated to such an extent? Are they using the pain of others to suppress their fear? Or have they turned themselves into demons out of despair for the future? Even Lu Wanting and the female team members couldn't help but raise their eyebrows and burst into anger after hearing these events, wishing to tear these guys into pieces immediately. Wang Feng closed his eyes and let out a long breath. He didn't want to listen anymore. He just felt that none of the people in front of him were worthy of being called human beings. They should be forever damned in the 18 levels of hell. With a flash of his body, Wang Feng knocked out all the beasts who were still desperately exposing the evil deeds of others. Then, he looked at Chen Tianhao and Zhao Taihan who were trembling with anger. I'll leave these people to you. I think you know what to do. I know. If I let them die too quickly, I will be sorry for my conscience and the wronged souls around them. Zhao Taihan squeezed out these words from his teeth, waved his hand and shouted, come on. Take all these beasts to the warehouse. Except for the female team members, all the people in the Green Island camp worked together to drag all the beasts lying on the ground to the warehouse. They grabbed their legs and dragged them directly on the ground, just like dragging a piece of wood or a bag of garbage. Wang Feng looked back at Lu Wanting, who was standing there with a terrified face, and walked over to comfort her. As soon as he got to Lu Wanting hugged him, buried her head in his arms, and cried, why are these people so scary? Why? If it weren't for you, I. She was afraid, because, if it weren't for Wang Feng's sudden appearance, she might have given herself to Black Wolf for the Green Island camp, then she would experience everything that those women in their mouths had experienced, and in the end she might even be hung in that warehouse. Yes. If it weren't for Wang Feng, she would probably have gotten that ending. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 35. Okay Ting Ting. Don't cry. They can't hurt anyone anymore. There aren't many people like them in this world. Let's build a strong and safe camp together so that we and the people around us can re-establish themselves. Let's live the life before the end of the world, okay? Wang Feng gently hugged Lu Wanting and comforted her. Life before the end of the world. Lu Wanting raised her head and looked at Wang Feng, her eyes full of hope. Yeah. Life before the end of the world. Wang Feng nodded and promised solemnly. Seeing that Lu Wanting's mood was getting better, he quickly changed the subject and asked, how are the people in the warehouse doing? Hearing Wang Feng's words, Lu Wanting shook her head sadly, except for those 3 children, everyone else. Wang Feng sighed inwardly. In fact, he had already seen that those people were basically hopeless, and there was no life in their eyes at all. Whether it is because of the fear of that kind of painful torture or the despair of the future, they have already sealed their souls. Perhaps, compared with those zombies, they are the real living dead. There are some like this among the group of people in front. I'll pick them up later and let them, truly rest in peace. Wang Feng sighed softly. Lu Wanting nodded silently. She also knew that these people could not be saved no matter what. Rather than letting them linger like this in a life worse than death, it would really be better to let them escape earlier. At this time, Zhao Taihan and Chen Tianhao's work should have begun. Waves of miserable cries that seemed to come from hell were heard, which made people feel horrified. What surprised Lu Wanting was that the three little boys at this time I was also looking inside at the door of the warehouse. They did not feel scared. Instead, their eyes flashed with a strange light, and they stared at Chen Tianhao and the others inside. Feng. Will they? Lu Wanting frowned slightly and asked worriedly. Are you worried that they will become people like He Lang and others in the future? Wang Feng looked at the three children at the door of the warehouse. After experiencing this kind of thing, their minds will inevitably be a little distorted. For them it will definitely have an impact on how we do things in the future. Wang Feng's words shocked Lu Wanting, but before she could speak, Wang Feng continued, you have to remember one thing, Ting Ting. The environment changes people. As long as we provide them with a normal living environment, they will be changed by us. It is because of a leader like Black Wolf that those people inside have made their camp a hell on earth. Therefore, the people living here have become so cruel and easy to kill, and have lost their humanity. Because if you remain the same as them, you won't be able to integrate with them, and you will face the risk of being rejected by them. Simply put, if you don't eat people, you may be eaten by others. Over time, they think there is nothing wrong with this. Instead, I will take pleasure in it. There won't be such people in our camp, because my bottom line is that I can't eat human flesh. I may be lenient about other things, but no matter who it is, anyone who dares to break this taboo will be killed. None. Amnesty. Wang Feng almost squeezed out these last three words from his teeth one by one. Ting Ting. Wang Feng grabbed Lu Wanting's shoulders, looked into her eyes and asked, do you believe me? Yes, Lu Wanting nodded seriously. Then do as I say. Don't worry. In the near future, I will definitely be able to fulfill my promise to you and let you return to the life before the end of the world, although you may still see zombies from time to time, Wang Feng said solemnly. Yes. I promise you, Lu Wanting nodded without any hesitation. Lu Wanting's hesitation undoubtedly made Wang Feng quite happy. He was just about to hug Lu Wanting when Zhao Taihan's voice came from behind, madman. It's all done. There are not enough hooks. Fortunately, they have spare ones. We have another. I added a few and now they are all up. Crazy brother. I cut off one arm of each of them. If I do something wrong, you can punish me. I will never complain. I just need to say this, Chen Tianhao added, standing next to Zhao Taihan. Road. For those people, nothing you do is too much. For them, the hell they are in now is their reincarnation, Wang Feng said calmly. What I am really worried about is our next step. Next step? Moving. What's there to worry about? Zhao Taihan asked with eyes wide open. Chen Tianhao followed the gazes of Wang Feng and Lu Wanting, and suddenly fell silent thoughtfully. What Wang Feng and Lu Wanting were looking at were the two-legged sheep with dull expressions, sitting or lying next to the warehouse. Two-legged sheep is what people in the Black Wolf camp call those who they regard as food. Chen Tianhao roughly guessed Wang Feng's decision from Wang Feng's words. Regarding Wang Feng's previous order, he should respond in the other way. Chen Tianhao happily obeyed Shi Bishan's method to deal with those cannibal demons, but for the next one. Chen Tianhao thought for a while and felt that he might not be able to make a move, so he chose to remain silent. Wang Feng also saw Chen Tianhao's concerns. After thinking about it, he said, go and select the people in front of you. Those who want to be in this state, just bring them all over here and I'll do it. You. Crazy. Are you really? Chen Tianhao couldn't help but ask. Alas. Some things have to be done by someone, Wang Feng sighed. What are you talking about? What's going on? Zhao Taihan listened for a long time but didn't understand, and he couldn't help but feel a little anxious. Taihan. Don't worry about this matter. And Wanting, you two take a group of people back and arrange for the people over there to transfer over. The sooner the better. The rest of the things here will be left to Tianhao and me." Wang Feng waved his hand and said. "Okay. Then we go back now. We should be able to transfer all the people over today." Lu Wanting looked at the sky and then said to Zhao Taihan, "Taihan, let's go." "Okay." Zhao Taihan, a rough man, was straightforward. Unlike Chen Tianhao, who was rough but meticulous, he agreed without thinking, and then called his team members to follow Lu Wanting. After watching them drive out of the camp, Wang Feng turned around and said to Chen Tianhao, "Tianhao, let's go over there." After more than half an hour of careful screening, Wang Feng and his team picked out 3 more people from the previous group. These 3 were also completely zombies, and they had no reaction to anything around them. In fact, there are many people like them, but Wang Feng and the others, as long as there is a little reaction, they will keep him, not just for that person, but also to make themselves feel more at ease. Wang Feng and Chen Tianhao stood side by side outside the camp. In front of them were less than 30 people like statues. Wang Feng took a deep breath, closed his eyes tightly, opened them after a moment, pulled out the apocalypse, and strode forward. He shook the apocalypse in front of a person, hoping that he would make some movements of fear or avoidance. But the person in front of him stood there stupidly, without even blinking his eyes. After Wang Feng looked up and took a breath, he inserted the apocalypse into his temple like lightning. After pulling out the apocalypse, the person who lost his support fell down, but the crowd behind him still did not react. Wang Feng walked over one by one with red eyes. The crowd fell down in order as he walked, just like cutting wheat. When there were only 7 or 8 people left, Wang Feng collapsed. He really couldn't imagine that one day he would start such a killing against some unarmed and defenseless people. Chen Tianhao came over and patted Wang Feng on the shoulder. "Leave the rest to me." After saying that, he pulled out his dagger and pierced the heads of all the remaining people. Wang Feng and Chen Tianhao worked together to dig a big pit and buried all these people in it. They were not zombies, so Wang Feng did not choose to burn them, and these tasks were done by only the 2 of them from beginning to end. The other people from the Green Island camp were arranged in the camp by them to arrange the people in the original Black Wolf camp. Because there is no fighter left in the Black Wolf camp, the ones who are left can't make any waves, and most of them have been oppressed and humiliated all the time, and they only have deep hatred for the Black Wolf gang. Now seeing the miserable experience of the Black Wolf paparazzi, they are already grateful to Wang Feng and his gang. But now they are worried about whether these people will become another Black Wolf after taking over the camp. Will they continue their previous life without dignity? After Wang Feng and Chen Tianhao buried all the bodies, they put a stone in front of the grave, but the 2 of them stared at each other for a long time and didn't know what to write. Finally, Wang Feng wrote with a big pen, "Compared with zombies, they are more unfortunate." Yes. After being bitten and turned into zombies, the pain that humans endure is only an hour at most, but the duration of these people's suffering is calculated in days, and they have to endure endless pain. God knows what it feels like when a person is pierced through the shoulder and hung on the wall, and then his limbs are cut off, and the surrounding area is filled with disgusting smells. Fortunately, now not only God knows, but also the guys who invented this punishment know this feeling, and it will continue for a while. Wang Feng and Chen Tianhao returned to the new Green Island camp. Chen Tianhao went to inspect the camp to see if there were any other discoveries, while Wang Feng climbed up the observation tower at the entrance of the camp and activated the Sky Eye to carefully check the surrounding terrain. The camp has a wide field of vision, which makes Wang Feng very satisfied. At least this camp does not have to worry about being suddenly attacked by the zombie tide. As long as there are people on duty here 24 hours a day, anyone or zombie approaching will be discovered from a long distance. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 36. Just when Wang Feng was about to go down, smoke and dust were flying in the distance. Wang Feng took a look, and a smile bloomed on his face. The first wave of people from the Green Island camp has arrived. The mighty motorcade drove into the camp. Chen Shaoan was the first to jump out of the car, ran to Wang Feng, and asked nervously, "Where is Xiao Wu? Why is he missing? Where has he gone?" After learning the news of Xiao Wu's disappearance, Chen Shaoan insisted on coming here with the first wave of convoys. Lu Wanting had no choice but to leave Zhao Taihan to guard the camp. She came first with the first wave of people, and Zhao Taihan who stayed behind. Some people were loading the available items in the camp into trucks, waiting for the next wave of transfers. "Xiao Wen. Calm down. Xiao Wu will be fine." Wang Feng grabbed Chen Shaoan's shoulders and looked at him and said, "If you want to find him, just being anxious is useless. You have to work hard to become stronger, so that you have a chance to find Xiao Wu." After hearing Wang Feng's words, Chen Shaoan calmed down a little. "I can feel that Xiao Wu is not dead yet, but his condition should not be very good, Brother Feng. You are fast, can you help me go out and look for him? I've looked around here, and there's no trace of Xiao Wu." People in the camp said that He Lang took Xiao Wu away when he went out, so he could have escaped at any place along the way. This range is too big. Big Wang Feng was moved when he heard Chen Shaoan's words. Did his arrangement work? What should we do? Should we just ignore him? Xiao Wen was a little anxious again. He and Xiao Wu were twins and had almost never been separated since childhood. Now Xiao Wu was his only relative, so naturally he couldn't give up. "Xiao Wen. I will go look for him when the camp is completely settled, and only I can go. It would be too dangerous for the rest of you to go out. Not only might you not be able to find him, but you might also get into an accident. And you said it yourself, Xiao Wu is still alive. Maybe he has his own fate. I became an evolver after I encountered some dangers alone. Maybe next time you see Xiao Wu it has surpassed you." "Is this really the case?" Xiaoan asked with red eyes. "Yes. It must be," Wang Feng replied firmly this time. "Now you have to do something. The camp has just been moved, and there are many things to do. You are an enhancer now and must contribute to the camp. Understand?" "Okay. I know." Xiaoan nodded, turned around and walked out for a few steps, then suddenly turned back. "We will definitely find Xiao," before leaving quickly. Lu Wanting came to Wang Feng, looked at Chen Shaoan's back and sighed softly. She turned to look at Wang Feng who was about to speak, and found that Wang Feng was looking ahead in a daze. She couldn't help but stretched out her hand and waved it in front of him. "Wind." "Ah," Wang Feng came back to his senses. "What are you thinking about?" Lu Wanting asked strangely. "You watch the camp first, I'll go out and be right back." Wang Feng saw his backpack with the little kitten in Lu Wanting's hand, reached out to take it and carried it on his chest, then without saying a word, he ran to the team to grab it. They passed a jeep and rushed out of the camp. Watching Wang Feng's car drive away, Lin Wanting frowned slightly and said softly, "Why is it so mysterious?" The jeep was traveling at lightning speed, and Wang Feng was heading to the place where he left Xiao Wu. At that time, he put Xiao Wu, He Lang, and the other strong man in an abandoned house. Because he saw Xiao Wu's his expression was too painful, so he asked Tiankai if there was any medicine that could alleviate Xiao Wu's pain. Apocalypse recommended a mutation potion to him at that time, which required a full 500 energy points to synthesize, and was extremely unstable. After taking it, there was a 50% chance of exploding to death, and a 40% chance of losing his body. A sane mutated creature has a 10% probability of becoming an evolver. Because this kind of potion is really useless, Tiankai had not mentioned it before. Wang Feng couldn't make a decision after thinking for a long time, so he gave the decision to Xiao Wu. Unexpectedly, Xiao Wu heard about the performance of this potion. Then his eyes suddenly lit up, and he asked Wang Feng to give him the potion without saying a word. Although Wang Feng repeatedly stated that there was a half chance of death after taking this potion, Xiao Wu still refused to change his mind and said that he would wait until the last opportunity to use it. Wang Feng saw that Xiao Wu had made up his mind, so he asked Tian Qi to synthesize a mutated potion and gave it to Xiao Wu. Fortunately, Tian Qi now has more than 2,000 energy points, and using 500 will not hurt his muscles and bones. After that, Wang Fengke left the house at Xiao Wu's request and returned to Lu Wanting. Now, if Chen Shaoan's feeling is correct, then it means that the 50% chance of body explosion of the mutated potion has not appeared, and the rest. Wang Feng had a bad feeling in his heart. He didn't want to create an irrational killing monster with his own hands. When Wang Feng arrived at the house where Xiao Wu and the others had been put down, he found that the door had been shattered into pieces. When he got closer, he felt a strong bloody smell. Although the room was a little dim, Wang Feng could still see clearly. Seen in the room. There was no one in the room. The 3 people that Wang Feng had placed inside were all gone. Instead, there was a mess. Whether it was the walls or the floor, they were all covered with blood and minced meat. There was nothing intact in the whole room. Even the wooden furniture, tables, and chairs, etc. were all turned into small fragments. Wang Feng's heart sank. The result he least wanted to happen appeared. The door was destroyed from the inside, which means that there was no intruder entering here, and even zombies would not crush people so thoroughly. Combined with Chen Shaoan's previous words, the answer has emerged in Wang Feng's mind: Xiao Wu has mutated. After carefully observing the interior and surroundings of the house, Wang Feng found some traces left by Xiao Wu when he left, but these could only allow him to judge the direction in which Xiao Wu left. After thinking about it, Wang Feng did not continue to chase, but chose to return to the new Green Island camp. Because he was in a hurry now, Duan Lei needed him to get back as soon as possible. If Wang Feng couldn't get back before the zombie tide started, Duan Lei and the others would be in danger, because he knew Duan Lei would definitely be waiting for him there. Wang Feng drove back to the camp. At this time, Chen Tianhao had already taken some people back to prepare for the second transfer, which was also the last transfer. There was actually nothing in the original camp, and the main thing was to drive more vehicles over. Because they were going to build a maze on the periphery of the new Green Island camp, because this new camp was much larger, more vehicles were needed. Seeing Wang Feng coming back, Chen Shaoan hurried over. "Brother Feng. Did you go to find Xiao Wu?" He looked into the car while saying. "Yeah," Wang Feng jumped out of the car. "I found a trace of a person, it should be Xiao Wu, but he went in that direction." Wang Feng pointed to the direction Xiao Wu left. "What is he doing there?" Chen Shaoan asked in confusion, because the direction Wang Feng pointed to was not the direction of the original Green Island camp. In his opinion, Xiao Wu should rush back to the camp as soon as he escaped. "I don't know," Wang Feng shook his head. He was not going to tell Chen Shaoan the truth, but the traces left were only from Xiao Wu, so he should not have been coerced. "I think he must have his own reasons for going there. It is enough for us to know that he is still alive. One day we will meet him again." After saying that, Wang Feng patted his shoulders and left, leaving Chen Shaoan alone looking at that direction in a trance. "Where did you go?" Lu Wanting came towards him and asked Wang Feng. To find Xiao Wu, Wang Feng decided to tell Lu Wanting about Xiao Wu, so that he could be prepared, because Xiao Wu who had lost his mind might come back here. After listening to Wang Feng's story, Lu Wanting frowned and looked at Wang Feng. "Then, if he appears here, what should we do?" "It depends on the situation. If he really loses consciousness, then there is only..." Wang Feng sighed. "Okay," Lu Wanting nodded, "it has been arranged here almost." Whether it is the original people here or our people, they all have their own residences. In addition, I found a few people who usually like to bully others, deliberately flatter the black wolf and others, and do all kinds of evil to others. I have driven them out of the camp. Wang Fen nodded after listening, without expressing any opinions. He knew that Lu Wanting was afraid that he would kill these guys directly after he came back, so he simply drove them out first. At this time, the side pocket of the backpack on Wang Feng's chest that contained the little milk cat suddenly moved a few times. Wang Feng quickly opened it, and the little milk cat stretched out its head. After looking around, it found Wang Feng, and shouted happily. It jumped onto Wang Feng's shoulder like lightning, stretched out its tongue and licked Wang Feng's face, looking very intimate. Huh? What a cute kitten! Lu Wanting was immediately attracted by the cute look of the kitten and reached out to touch it. Wang Feng tilted his head to look at the kitten and saw that it didn't have any big reaction, so he didn't stop it. So cute. Haha, Lu Wanting touched the kitten's head and smiled happily. Probably because he saw Lu Wanting and Wang Feng together, the kitten also let Lu Wanting touch it and closed his eyes as if enjoying it. Wang Feng smiled and shook his head. Suddenly he remembered that there was still meat of the big bird in his backpack, so he opened the backpack and showed it to Lu Wanting. Ting ting. Now the meat of the mutant bird that caught me here, you can have someone process it and give it to everyone as a snack in the evening. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 37. So much. I heard that the meat of mutant beasts can make people stronger, is that true? Lu Wanting asked happily after snatching the backpack and taking a look. Yes. That's why I asked you to share it with everyone here, they are a little too weak. Wang Feng nodded affirmatively. With the test of apocalypse, he could certainly confirm the efficacy of these mutant beast meat. At this time, the little kitten pounced directly, opened its mouth and chewed the mutant beast meat. Lu Wanting was surprised. Ah! It also eats this. Haha. If it weren't for it, I might not be alive now, Wang Feng said with a smile. Looking at the little kitten shaking its head and tearing the meat of the mutant bird, Wang Feng suddenly had an idea. After looking around the camp, Wang Feng had an idea. Looking at Lu Wanting and smiling, he said, Ting ting. Call a dozen people, not all of them have to be combatants, just those with a little strength. Let's go pick up our matchmaker. Matchmaker, Lu Wanting was puzzled. Haha. That's the big bird. Let's go and bring it back. We can eat it for a few days, Wang Feng said. Is it big? Lu Wanting stuck out her tongue as soon as she asked her question. Could a bird that could catch Wang Feng be small? You go find someone. I'll prepare the car. After saying this, Wang Feng walked towards a large truck parked outside the camp. The little kitten was enjoying the food. He looked up at Wang Feng's back and then looked back at Lu Wanting. He called her and continued to eat. When he came to the truck, Wang Feng looked up and down at the truck, estimated the length of the car body, and nodded with satisfaction. At this time, it was a truck specially used to transport cars. There was no car body. There was a large flatbed on the wheels with detachable guardrails on both sides. It was perfect for transporting the big bird. Wang Feng jumped on the truck and tried to start it. The truck roared in a very respectful manner. After confirming that the truck could be used, Wang Feng jumped off again. The fuel gauge showed that the car was less than half full and needed to be filled up. Wang Feng casually called a person who originally belonged to the Black Wolf camp to find out where the fuel was stored. He went in and carried a large oil barrel that was 1.5 meters high and came out. While he was refueling the car, Lu Wanting also came over with people. Ting ting. Have someone remove the guardrails on both sides of the car, and bring more ropes. We can set off, Wang Feng said while refueling the car. It's easier to get things done with more people. After a short time, everything was ready. Wang Feng and Lu Wanting entered the cab, while the others ran to the truck compartment. They didn't plan to drive another car. In this apocalypse, fuel was more scarce than the war period before the apocalypse. Lu Wanting was still holding the backpack. The kitten was still eating. It had almost eaten a piece of meat that was bigger than its body. I really don't know how it got in. Wang Feng started the car and drove towards the location of the big bird. He estimated that it would take about an hour to get there. By then, it might be dark, but Wang Feng naturally didn't care about these things now. And Lu Wanting, the originally smart and capable girl, obviously didn't think too much about things since she met Wang Feng. Anyway, Wang Feng would solve any problems. As for the people in the car? Obviously, they are now thinking about what the lonely man and woman in the car are doing, and they have no time to care about it. What's its name? Lu Wanting teased the kitten who was still eating and asked Wang Feng. Wang Feng was a little embarrassed and speechless. He didn't name the kitten at all. No way. Such a cute kitten doesn't have a name. Lu Wanting looked incredible, and then began to think hard. 10 minutes later, Lu Wanting finally came up with a name that she was satisfied with. She looked at the kitten tearing the bird meat and said, "Let's call it Ro-Ro from now on. It likes to eat meat so much, it must like this name. Right? Ro-Ro? Yeah. It's decided." Meow. The kitten with a new name raised its head and looked at the two of them, and continued to work hard. Ro-Ro, Wang Feng murmured and repeated this name that was obviously more pleasing to the zombies, without expressing any objections. With Lu Wanting constantly teasing the kitten Ro-Ro and the protests from Ro-Ro from time to time, they finally approached the place where Wang Feng landed safely. Such a big bird, Lu Wanting was still some distance away from the mutant bird. Seeing the mutant bird's corpse, she was surprised. Although she had tried hard to imagine the bird to be very big, when she saw it, she realized that her imagination was still too poor. Yeah. So if it weren't for Rura, maybe I would have become the snack of this bird, Wang Feng said with emotion. After the car drove to the side of the big bird's body, Wang Feng whispered a few words to Lu Wanting, then opened the door and jumped out of the car, and the people in the back car jumped out one after another the moment the truck stopped. Damn! Is this a bird or an elephant? Elephants are not this big. How can this bird grow? It's so heavy and can still fly. As soon as these guys got out of the car, they were frightened by the size of the mutant bird and expressed their opinions one after another. Okay. Get ready to work, Wang Feng waved his hand. Lu Wanting didn't come down, so he gave the order. Lu Wanting didn't know why she stayed in the car. Are we going to lift this guy onto the car? It seems a bit big, a middle-aged man in his 30s said as he looked at the big bird. It's okay. Let's try it first. If we can't get it up, we can dismember it and put it on piece by piece. Wang Feng waved his hand. Let's try together to see if we can lift this big guy. When everyone heard Wang Feng's words, they gathered around. At this moment, something strange happened. 7 or 8 people suddenly jumped out of the bushes around them and pointed their weapons at them. Stop! Don't move! Raise your hands! Hold your head with your hands and squat on the spot. Because they were preparing to lift the bird, several fighters who came together also put their guns on their backs. At this moment, they had no chance to touch the guns. Everyone, do as they say. Don't act rashly. Wang Feng's voice was very calm. Wang Feng slowly turned around and looked at the people in front of him. They were wearing all kinds of clothes, and they only had 3 rifles and 2 pistols. The leader seemed to be the young man in blue and white sportswear. The young man was about 27 or 28 years old, with empty hands and a Miao Dao on his back. Although he had long hair that went over his shoulders, he didn't look effeminate because of the sharp lines on his face and the sword-like eyebrows. However, Wang Feng found that there was a trace of indissoluble melancholy in the young man's eyes. The young man walked forward a few steps and said, "No matter who you are, We found this bird first, so it belongs to us. Please leave. Whoever found it first, it belongs to him. Wang Feng also walked forward and asked. Because he had no weapons in his hands, no one stopped him. Why the hell are you talking so much nonsense? I killed this bird, so of course it belongs to us. Before the young man answered, a guy with earrings and dyed yellow hair behind him spoke. Wang Feng looked in the direction of the voice and almost laughed out loud. The yellow-haired man must have not dyed his hair for a long time, so his hair was half yellow and half black, which looked very funny. If you laugh again, I will shoot you to death. The yellow-haired man was a little angry. Did you really kill this bird? Wang Feng ignored the yellow-haired man and turned to look at the young man in blue and asked. No, the young man in blue shook his head. The bird was dead when we found it. That's right, Wang Feng nodded and said, because I was the first person to find this bird. What do you have to prove your words? The yellow-haired man jumped out again. Its fatal wound is on the back. Turn it over and you will know, Wang Feng said and waved his hand. Come and help, turn it over. The people in the Green Island camp worked together to pull the giant bird's legs to expose its back. A huge wound appeared in front of everyone. The young man's face suddenly changed and he looked very depressed. It seems that you found the bird first, so we won't bother you anymore. Let's go. The young man nodded, then waved his hand and asked his people to leave. Wang Feng was stunned. He didn't expect that the young man would leave without hesitation. He couldn't help but admire the young man. Captain. Why should we leave? Even if they found it first, so what? All. Huang Mao approached the young man and whispered, and finally gestured on his neck with his hand. Xiao Li. If we don't keep a little bottom line as a human being, we will be no different from those zombies, the young man said without turning his head. But we have no food anymore. If we go back like this, what will happen to those people in the camp? Huang Mao was a little unconvinced. Let's go look for it somewhere else ourselves. There was a hint of rejection in the young man's voice. You must remember that those people in the camp are looking at you. I wonder how you will explain to them if you go back empty-handed, Huang Mao muttered reluctantly. Hey, Wang Feng looked at the young man's back and shouted, what's your name? Qiu Jian. The young man turned around and looked at Wang Feng calmly. Qiu Jian. What a good name. My name is Wang Feng. Wang Feng looked at Qiu Jian and smiled. How many people are there in your camp? Including us, there are more than 40 people in total, and our camp is just a small camp, Qiu Jian said after hesitating for a while. This bird is very big. I guess we can't eat so much. Everyone who sees it can have a share. How about you take a leg? Wang Feng pointed at the big bird and said, anyway, there is no refrigeration equipment in our camp, and it would be a waste if we can't finish it. Qiu Jian hesitated for a while. Thank you very much. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 38. The distribution plan had been set, so the young man and his men also prepared to dismember the big bird. At this time, Wang Feng realized how lucky he was to kill the big bird, because no matter whether it was the young man's side or his own side, the weapons they took out were basically ineffective against the giant bird's corpse. After many experiments, only Wang Feng's apocalypse could barely cut the skin of the giant bird. After the skin was cut, the meat inside was not so hard, and ordinary weapons could cut it. After Wang Feng helped the young man remove the giant bird's thigh, the young man also called on his people to help lift the giant bird to Wang Feng's truck. In order to conceal his tracks, Wang Feng did not put away Apocalypse, but inserted it into the scabbard on his thigh. The yellow-haired man looked at Apocalypse with greed in his eyes. Thank you, Wang Feng looked at the young man and smiled. If you need it in the future, you can come to our camp to find me. It's in that direction, about an hour's drive from here. After that, Wang Feng pointed to his camp. Unexpectedly, after hearing what Wang Feng said, the young man's face changed drastically, and hatred flashed in his eyes. Prepare for battle. With his order, the people behind him dropped the bird legs and picked up the guns and aimed at Wang Feng and his men again. "Captain," the yellow-haired man shouted, "don't forget what Secretary Lu said. You can't follow the black." "Shut up," the young man interrupted the yellow-haired man, pulled out the Miao Dao behind him, stared at Wang Feng and squeezed out a few words with gritted teeth, "The bastards of the Black Wolf camp. Come and die." Wang Feng was stunned, but he immediately figured out the reason. "Wait," he stretched out his hand and shouted, "we are not from the Black Wolf camp, you recognized the wrong person." The young man was stunned. Then he snorted coldly, "Humph. Still want to lie to me? The direction you just mentioned is the Black Wolf camp. You owe us a debt. Just pay it back a little first. One day, I will cut that bastard Black Wolf into pieces. I'm afraid your ideal cannot be realized. Black Wolf is dead, and he can't be broken into pieces anymore." Thinking of the meat on the ground in that room, Wang Feng smiled bitterly and said, "We are from the Green Island camp. The Black Wolf camp has been occupied by us now." "What? You said, Black Wolf is dead?" Qiu Jian was stunned for a moment. "No. The leader of the Green Island camp is a woman. She saved me. I know her. If you are from Green Island, why is she not in your team?" At this time, a burly man in his 30s behind the young man spoke. Wang Feng laughed when he heard it. "Do you know Ting Ting?" Then he waved in the direction of the truck. "Ting Ting. There is someone you know here." Lu Wanting opened the car door and jumped out. When she stopped the car just now, Wang Feng told her to hide for the time being because there was an ambush here, and asked her not to get out of the car to prevent accidents. Now she heard Wang Feng calling her, so she took the initiative to show up, but she left her meat and the backpack in the car. "Are you Wu Qi?" Lu Wanting looked at the burly man and said with some surprise. "Ah. It's Captain Lu. Is it really you?" the burly man Wu Qi said with a look of surprise. "Did you really kill the Black Wolf and occupy their camp?" "Yes. In addition, I am not the captain now. This is our captain, Captain Wang." Lu Wanting pointed at Wang Feng and said with a smile. The young man looked at Lu Wanting with a puzzled look, and then looked at Wu Qi. Wu Qi understood what he meant and said quickly, "Captain. This is Captain Lu of the Green Island camp that I told you about. If there was no Captain Lu, I would have died long ago, just like you. She also saved my life." Lu Wanting walked forward and extended her right hand to Qiu Jian. "Hello. My name is Lu Wanting." Qiu Jian reached out and shook hands with Lu Wanting and immediately let go, and asked excitedly, "Is Black Wolf really dead?" "That's right. Although I haven't seen his body, our captain said he was dead, so he must be dead. At least when I last saw Black Wolf, his limbs had been cut off by our captain." Lu Wanting nodded affirmatively. Qiu Jian turned his head to look at Wang Feng, walked slowly in front of him, and took out a photo from his pocket. "When you took over the Black Wolf camp, did you see this person there?" Wang Feng took the photo and looked at it. The photo showed a girl in her 20s, smiling sweetly at the camera. Wang Feng slowly shook his head, and Qiu Jian's expression dimmed. "Don't get me wrong, I mean I don't remember if there was this girl, because we just occupied the Black Wolf camp today, and the people inside were only temporarily settled there by us. As for whether this girl is still with us, I need to go back to confirm it." Wang Feng saw that Qiu Jian had misunderstood, and quickly explained. "Really? Then can I go with you to your camp to look for it?" Qiu Jian's eyes rose with hope. "Captain. It's so late, why don't we go tomorrow? We have to bring the food back first. The people in the camp are waiting for us," Huang Mao said beside him. "You take the food back. I'll go to their camp by myself. Anyway, they are just waiting for food." Qiu Jian's tone was very firm. "I can't wait any longer." What if they are lying? Huang Mao was a little anxious, Sister Yoon has been captured by Black Wolf and his men for almost half a month. Who knows whether what they said is true or false? Maybe Black Wolf has recruited them. Impossible. If that's the case, with Hei Lang's character, he will never let a beauty like Captain Lu go out. I have already decided. You don't have to say anything anymore, just go back with the bird legs. It will be dark soon. Chiu Jian waved his hand and said. Wu Qi. Execute my order. Take them back immediately. Maybe I will return to the camp tomorrow. If not. Chiu Jian looked at Wang Feng. You don't have to look for me, just treat me as dead. No. Captain. You can't go. Huang Mao became anxious and said in a stern tone, don't forget your responsibilities. You are the only strengthener in our camp. If an accident happens to you, all of us will be killed. After Huang Mao said this, he ran directly in front of Chiu Jian, pointed at Chiu Jian's nose and said sternly, and even if you want to go, you have to go back and ask Secretary Lu for permission first. Only with his consent can you do it. You can go, otherwise you are betraying our camp. Haha. In response to Huang Mao's accusation, Chiu Jian laughed miserably. Betrayal? As early as the day Xiaoun was arrested, I was already a traitor. I betrayed my lover and allowed my woman to be those man-eating devils in the Black Wolf camp, snatched her away, knowing what she would go through but could not give her any help. It's because of you that you bound me with your so-called strong man's responsibility and gave me a high-sounding reason to explain my greed for life and fear of death. What did I get after that? I go out to search non-stop every day, and after I return, I have to face endless complaints from those guys. It seems like it is a shame that I, an enhancer, can't bring them enough food every day. But what are they doing every day? Huddled in the camp all day long, the only job is to wait for us to bring back food to distribute to them. Even an ordinary wanderer approaching the camp will make them jump for a while. This is the woman I should give up. Someone to protect. I've had enough. Chiu Jian's face was full of tears, and he shouted hysterically, you, the responsibility of the strong. What kind of strong man am I? A strong man who can't protect his woman. You said I betrayed? Then I betrayed. From now on, I will leave the camp. You can say whatever you like. I quit. You. Huang Mao didn't expect that Chiu Jian, who had always obeyed his words, would react so strongly this time. But now it was difficult to get off the tiger, and he couldn't lose face in front of so many people and ask Chiu Jian to change his mind, so he jumped on his feet and shouted, you ungrateful traitor. If it weren't for the camp taking you in, you would have become a zombie long ago with the food. Can he become the current strengthener? Now that his wings are strong. Bang, Wang Feng really couldn't listen anymore. He flashed and suddenly appeared in front of Huang Mao. With a wave of his right hand, he flew out and slapped Huang Mao until he vomited blood and fell to the ground. Life or death. You don't have to talk nonsense with this kind of person. Just kill him. Anyway, there is no shortage of ungrateful people in this world. It doesn't matter if you kill a few. Wang Feng turned to Chiu Jian and said. From their conversation, Wang Feng had roughly understood. He looked at Chiu Jian with some pity. Before the end of the world, this guy was probably a good boy from a scholarly family with excellent morals and learning. Trapped by rules and regulations. All kinds of principles of life and all kinds of moral restraints were like a mountain pressing on him. Even though he became a strong man after the end of the world, he did not have the heart of a strong man at all and could not adapt to this end of the world immediately. Bind yourself to the same rules as before the end of time. Just like now, he obviously couldn't suppress his anger and wanted to vent it out, but he still tried to explain his behavior with reason, trying to make this yellow man understand that he was not sorry for the camp. He doesn't understand that no matter what time, absolute power is the real truth. If your fist is strong enough, your words will be the truth. and for people like Huang Mao, he is used to accepting help from others and takes it for granted. Once you stop helping him, or you help others more than you do, he will feel that he has been wronged. Huge harm, but I still hold a grudge against you. What can you tell this kind of person? Wang Feng would think it was a waste of time if he said anything more. Without even looking at Huang Mao, who fell to the ground, he turned to Qiu Jian and said, "We are going back." "Are you coming?" Then he waved his hand to signal to his side. People get in the car and prepare to return to the camp. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 39. Qiu Jian stared blankly at Wang Feng and the people from Green Island getting on the truck, then turned around to look at the yellow-haired man whose life or death was unknown, and seemed to be a little hesitant. When the truck started, Qiu Jian finally gritted his teeth, ran a few steps quickly, and jumped onto the truck. The strong man Wu Qi, who knew Lu Wanting, had been watching Qiu Jian. At this time, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and then he also ran and jumped onto the truck. "Captain! You finally did it right once." "Wu Qi. You." Qiu Jian looked at Wu Qi. "Ha ha ha," Wu Qi laughed proudly, "I stayed here because of you. After all, you saved my life. As for those bastards in the camp, I have been fed up with them for a long time, but I never said it. Now it's good. You are going to the Green Island camp, and you probably won't have to live so aggrieved in the future. You have left, so why should I stay in that damn place? It's good to go to Green Island. The two people who saved my life are still here, and maybe I can pay them back together when I find a chance." "Ha ha ha. I don't know, is Xiaoun there?" Qiu Jian looked back at his former companions, who were still stunned in the same place, and murmured. As soon as the truck approached the gate of the camp, Qiu Jian couldn't wait to jump off the truck, but was pulled by Wu Qi beside him. "I have been waiting for half a month, so it doesn't matter if I wait for a while." After Chen Tianhao on the sentry tower confirmed the people in the truck's cab, he shouted to the two people below to open the gate of the camp, and the truck slowly drove in and stopped in the camp. "Wow! Such a big bird," Zhao Taihan, who ran out after hearing the noise, looked at the big bird on the truck and smacked his lips and said, "How long will it take to eat? What are you standing there for? Get it down quickly, and call everyone to gather. Prepare a feast. Let's have a good meal today." Wang Feng jumped off the truck and said with a smile. After Lu Wanting got off the car, she looked at Qiu Jian, who was looking at her nervously, and looked up and shouted, "Tianhao, come down." After Chen Tianhao handed the infrared telescope in his hand to the person next to him, he climbed down the ladder. At this time, Zhao Taihan also saw Qiu Jian and Wu Qi, and he couldn't help but be overjoyed. He opened his arms and walked over, laughing loudly, "Ha ha ha ha. Old Wu. You finally figured it out." Wu Qi stepped forward and gave Zhao Taihan a bear hug. "Ha ha ha ha. Iron Man. I'm here to join you. Do you want it?" "Yes. Of course." Chen Tianhao also joined in. "Damn it. When I saved you, I wanted to pull you over, but you insisted that your captain was still there and couldn't leave. Why did you suddenly appear here today? Old Wu. Is this what ball you were talking about?" Zhao Taihan looked at Qiu Jian and grinned. You. Our captain is Qiu Jian, You can call him that from now on." Wu Qi cursed with a smile, but then suddenly stopped. Qiu Jian could no longer be the captain here, but what to call him? Little Qiu? Or Little Jian? Okay. Let's talk about it later when we have dinner together. Tianhao, take Captain Qiu to find someone first. He has, His relatives were captured in the Black Wolf camp. Take him to the survivors in the Black Wolf camp to find them. Lu Wanting interrupted the conversation between the three guys. Yes, Chen Tianhao responded immediately, and then said to Qiu Jian, Captain Qiu, come with me. After that, Qiu Jian, who was anxious, led the way. After thanking Lu Wanting, he followed. Wu Qi. Welcome to Green Island. Lu Wanting smiled and stretched out her right hand to Wu Qi. Captain Lu. I'm just an ordinary person. I won't cause you any trouble, will I? Wu Qi also put away his smile and said seriously. No. Besides, maybe you will not be an ordinary person soon. Lu Wanting also looked serious. She still had some understanding of Wu Qi, especially after the incident just now. At that time, Wu Qi was alone and surrounded by zombies. Lu Wanting's team happened to pass by, so they rescued him and traveled together for more than 2 days. At that time, Zhao Taihan and Chen Tianhao were also there. The two chatted very well with Wu Qi. When they parted for the last time, Zhao Taihan and Chen Tianhao had invited Wu Qi to join them. At that time, Wu Qi also knew that they had 3 enhancers and it would be safer to join them, but he still refused. Wu Qi told them about Qiu Jian at that time, saying that although this captain was more pedantic and as an enhancer he had to be manipulated by some ordinary people, he was a good person after all, and he had saved his life. He said that he could not just leave. From this point of view, Wu Qi is still trustworthy. A person who knows how to be grateful can't be bad no matter what. Seeing Wu Qi's puzzled look, Lu Wanting just smiled, nodded, and turned away. Now that Wu Qi had just arrived, she could not fully trust him, so the matter of the strengthening liquid should be put aside for the time being. What are you doing there? Hurry up and get the bird down. It's time for supper, Wang Feng shouted loudly while standing on the carriage. Let's go. Let's work together. Zhao Taihan pulled Wu Qi to respond to Wang Feng's call. At this time, everyone in the Green Island camp was called out. Whether they were men, women, or children, they all cheered and jumped for joy after learning that there would be a big meal soon. After dividing the work, they began to get busy. Because the bird was very big, everyone simply set up 4 large pots in the yard of the camp, boiled water, and lit 3 bonfires to prepare to grill the bird meat. The whole camp was in a state of excitement. Except for the sentinels on the 4 watchtowers who were still vigilantly watching the movements around the camp, everyone else's faces were filled with joy. Wu Qi watched everything, and his hand that was pulling the rope could not help but stop there. 2 lines of tears slid down his face. Since entering the apocalypse, he had never experienced such a scene. He hadn't seen such a relaxed smile on people's faces for a long time. At this moment, he seemed to have returned to the moment before the apocalypse, when he took his wife and son to have a picnic on the grassland. The original survivors of the Black Wolf camp were also infected by this atmosphere. They were told that they would also participate in the feast later. They could have a full meal of bird meat today. A full meal? When this word that showed luxury in the apocalypse entered their ears, they all felt like they were living in heaven. A full meal? And it was meat? Yes, just a full meal before the end of the world can make people feel this way. Heaven is actually everywhere. When your heart is easily satisfied, when your desires are not so strong, when your greed is suppressed, any place will be your paradise. The new Green Island camp was full of jubilation. Except for a few people who were self-enclosed due to the severe destruction they had received before, everyone was eating the bird meat in their hands happily. Even the sentinels on the watchtowers were tearing the bird meat in their hands while observing the surroundings. The children chased each other in the yard, and their excited little faces looked so carefree in the light of the fire. Wang Feng and others sat around a bonfire, on which was a large piece of bird leg meat and a huge bird head. Zhao Taihan said that he liked to eat roasted chicken heads the most, so he occupied the bird head. Unlike the other people in the camp, they had a few more bottles of liquor. Of course, Wang Feng took them out from his apocalypse space. However, Due to the cover of the backpack, others could not see anything unusual. The disadvantage was that he could not take too much, otherwise it would be difficult to explain. Wang Feng was holding a bottle of liquor in his hand at the moment. He smiled and looked at everyone's faces one by one. He really hoped that such scenes would appear around him frequently in the future. Suddenly, his smile stopped because he saw Qiu Jian. Qiu Jian was sitting next to a girl who looked a little demented. This girl was Xiao Yun, whom he was looking for. Fortunately, Qiu Jian really found her in this camp. Unfortunately, she was also found in this camp. Everyone present knew what a woman who was caught in the Black Wolf camp and had some beauty would experience. After enduring half a month of torture, the girl who looked pure and lovely in the photo now looked much more haggard, with a pair of dim eyes. Whenever someone approached her, she would do one thing, lie on the ground and spread her legs. At that time, Wang Feng did not kill her and bury her with those people because of her action. Of course, it was not because Wang Feng had any thoughts about her. This girl's action not only did not arouse his desire, but instead made him feel a sense of fear about this world. When humans lose the control of the law, the restraint of morality, and the principles of being human, especially, when they lose hope for the future, they will be controlled by the demons in their hearts and create one hell after another on earth. I haven't felt this way for a long time, lunatic. Thank you. I finally feel that I am still a living person now. After this damn apocalypse, this is the first time I feel my future. No. There may still be hope for the future of mankind. Chen Tianhao stood up with a bottle of wine and walked to Wang Feng. Come on. Crazy. I toast you. Chen Tianhao's voice interrupted Wang Feng's thoughts. He looked up at Chen Tianhao, then looked at the people around him. Those happy smiling faces and the children running and playing around suddenly laughed. Ha ha ha. That's right. We still have hope. This is our future. Wang Feng stood up and pointed at the children, then clinked the bottle with Chen Tianhao, and then held the bottle and gestured to the people around him. Everyone. Let's toast to our future. For tomorrow. Cheers. Everyone stood up and shouted loudly, for tomorrow. Cheers. The children who were playing were attracted by the sound, and they turned their heads to look here, but then they found that there were only a group of adults drinking here, so they were disappointed and started their chase again. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 40. After drinking the bottle of wine in his hand, Wang Feng looked at Lu Wanting beside him. Ting ting. I'm leaving tomorrow. Everyone fell silent for a moment, and even Qiu Jian felt the strange atmosphere around him. He moved his eyes away from Xiaoyun's face and looked here. Brother Feng. Why are you leaving? Chen Shaoan was the first to shout. He and his younger brother Chen Shaoa were the first people in the Green Island camp to come into contact with Wang Feng. Although the total time together was less than 20 hours, but he clearly understood the huge changes Wang Feng had brought to Green Island camp in the past 20 hours. First, he killed the zombies that almost destroyed the camp to resolve the crisis in the camp. Then he took out a bottle of potion and turned himself into the enhancer he once envied. Then he led someone to kill another threat to the camp, the Black Man. Wolf and his men captured them all, then took over the Black Wolf camp and relocated the entire Green Island camp. Then he first went out for a walk by himself to find the whereabouts of his missing brother. After he came back, he drove a truck out for a walk and brought back such a huge bird and 2 new members, one of which actually had an enhancement. All these things are simply a miracle in Chen Shaoan's eyes. Now that he heard that Wang Feng was leaving, he was naturally anxious. After Chen Shaoan asked this question, everyone else who was about to open their mouth swallowed their words and looked at Wang Feng silently, waiting for his answer. I told Ting Ting about this. I was brought here by this guy. After glancing at Lu Wanting next to him, Wang Feng pointed to the roasted sizzling bird head and said, where I came from, My friends were waiting for me. I'm leaving this time to pick them up. Besides, there's a crisis over there. They need me. Wang Feng then briefly talked about the mutated zombies he discovered in Jianguan town and how he was brought here by the giant bird. Situation. Holy crap. Intelligent zombies, Chen Tianhao gasped, then we are in big trouble. It's okay. I'll go with the madman. Just pick up the madman's brothers. Jianguan town is more than 200 kilometers away from here, and those zombies' short legs won't be able to get here for a while. Zhao Taihan stood up. He patted his chest and said, "No. What Tianhao means, if there is a first one, there will definitely be a second one. We haven't found one here probably because we are relatively remote and have a small population, but in comparison, we have quite a lot of resources here. It's limited. If we want to survive, we can't stay here forever. Our future path won't be easy," Lu Wanting explained. "That's right. But don't be too pessimistic." Wang Feng stretched out his right arm and hugged Lu Wanting gently. "Just like there are no evolvers here, and there are even very few high-level enhancers, zombies can transform into we can be strong, as long as we become stronger faster than the zombies. Think of your own apocalypse." Wang Feng said with confidence, "If you believe me, help Tingting properly after I leave. When I come back, we will work together to continue the hope of mankind. Don't worry about the camp. I still have some experience in managing the camp. You should take some people back with you when you go back. It's more dangerous there. More people will make it safer." Lu Wanting looked at Wang Feng and said worriedly, "No. We also need manpower here. What if the situation like last time happens again outside? I can go back alone." Wang Feng flatly refused. "The Black Wolf group is all dead, and we have moved to such a good camp. There is no danger here for the time being. You can take your people with you, but I won't allow you to leave alone." Lu Wanting frowned and muttered. He said with his lips, "Madman. The captain is right. You can't leave by yourself, I'll go with you. We relied on the poor place in the Green Island camp for half a year, and now we have no problem. We have enough food for the time being. There is no danger if we don't go out. Even if there is a group of corpses like last time, it can be solved by relying on the defense here." Chen Tianhao thought for a while and said, "Okay. That's it. Xiaoan and Qiu Jian come with me, and the powerful hero Wu Qi and you three will help Tingting defend the camp." Wang Feng lowered his head and thought for a moment before saying, "That's it? I'm over there. I know the situation well." The two people Wang Feng planned to bring had his own considerations. Xiaoan had just become an enhancer, and he was still very young. He had to give him some guidance as he was with him. As for Qiu Jian, it was because he had just joined. He is not familiar with it yet, and he is still an intensifier, so he is not at ease with it here. "Okay," Lu Wanting looked at Wang Feng's firm eyes and said helplessly. When Qiu Jian heard his name, he looked up at Wang Feng with a confused look on his face. "Qiu Jian. Let me make it clear that because you have just joined, I can't completely trust you yet, so I need you to come with me to pick up my brothers this time." Wang Feng looked at Qiu Jian and said, he had no intention of hiding his thoughts. "I want to take care of Xiaoan." Qiu Jian stood up. "Can you cure her in her current condition?" Wang Feng walked up to Qiu Jian and looked into his eyes and asked. "I." Qiu Jian lowered his head sadly. "Then let me tell you. I may be able to cure her and restore her consciousness, but it's not possible yet. First, the materials I need are not enough. Second, you have not proven your worth." Wang Feng. Qiu Jian's eyes lit up. Looking down at the girl who was still in a daze, Wang Feng said again, "Our camp is different from yours. It sounds like there are many people who eat for free in your camp, but there won't be any in our camp. We don't need anyone who eats and waits for death. If you join our camp and just stay by this girl's side every day, then I suggest you leave." Can you really cure her? Qiu Jian seemed to have only heard the sentence. He grabbed Wang Feng's shoulder and asked. I can't guarantee that she will recover. But at least there is hope. I can make her an enhancer like you. In the process of strengthening her body, maybe her consciousness can be restored. If not, then I have a method with a greater chance of success, but that method is also very costly. I won't let her use it for nothing, Wang Feng said. Okay. As long as she can recover. I can do anything. Qiu Jian let go of Wang Feng's shoulder and said, straightening his body. Don't worry. I'll keep my word. Get ready. Go with me tomorrow morning. As for her, I promise you, as long as this camp doesn't fall, she will be safe. Wang Feng patted his shoulder and turned back to the campfire. Brother Feng. When are we going? As soon as Wang Feng sat down, Chen Shaoan came over and asked expectantly. Tomorrow morning, but the direction we are going is not the same as Xiao Wu's. Wang Feng saw what Chen Shaoan was thinking. Don't worry. Xiao Wu is fine, we will see him one day. Yeah. I know. Chen Shaoan looked at Wang Feng and nodded heavily. Madman. You really don't want us to go? Just as Chen Shaoan left, Zhao Taihan, Wu Qi and Chen Tianhao, 3 burly men of equal size, came over again. Zhao Taihan asked with a pitiful expression. No need, Wang Feng quickly refused. Remember. We don't know about the mutant zombie over there yet, maybe it will chase us, so we must hurry up to build the camp. The most important thing is to build a maze first, the bigger the better, and the back door of the camp must leave a way out to prevent the outside world. Understood. The 3 looked at Wang Feng with a serious face and nodded solemnly. At this time, a burst of joy came, and the 4 turned their heads to look. It turned out that the little milk cat Rura had finished sleeping after a big meal. He just climbed from the backpack to Lu Wanting's shoulder and looked at the group of children playing with sleepy eyes. Lu Wanting caught it and held it in her arms, but was discovered by the children. Rura's lethality to women and children can be said to be full of firepower. The group of children immediately ended their games and all surrounded Lu Wanting, asking questions and looking at Rura with shining eyes. Rura ignored these little brats, raised his head and sniffed around for a few times, then jumped out of Lu Wanting's arms, leaving a shadow in the air and landing directly on Wang Feng's shoulder. So fast, Zhao Taihan and the other 3 were amazed when they saw it, and looked at each other, seeing the surprise in each other's eyes. Wang Feng was also surprised. He didn't expect that this little guy was getting faster and faster now. His speed just now was almost as fast as that of the black cat. When Rura came over, Wang Feng wanted to catch it with his hands, but with the speed of Wang Feng, an evolver, he couldn't even touch Rura, and let it land on his shoulder smoothly. Could it be that the offspring of mutant beasts will become more and more powerful? Wang Feng frowned and thought to himself. If this is true, it will not be a good thing for humans. Tilting his head to look at the meat on his shoulder, Wang Feng reached back and grabbed its head. Meat closed its eyes and rubbed Wang Feng's face with an intoxicated look. It should be because of drinking Wang Feng's blood that this little kitten is very close to Wang Feng. Feng. Can you leave meat to me? Lu Wanting pleaded with Wang Feng in the distance. I'm afraid it won't, Wang Feng shrugged and pointed at meat on his shoulder. Meat, come here, Lu Wanting shouted back, but Meat just opened his eyes and took a look and ignored it. Ha ha. The little guy is quite loyal, Chen Tianhao and the other 2 laughed. Well. Not bad, Wang Feng was also a little proud in his heart. He stretched out his hand and was about to touch Meat, but Meat disappeared swish. Wang Feng was stunned, and when he turned around, he found that Rura had already run to Lu Wanting faster than he had come to him, because Lu Wanting opened her backpack and took out a piece of bird meat. Traitor, Wang Feng, Zhao Taihan, Chen Tianhao and Wu Qi were all furious and cursed in unison.